Good evening. There's new reporting tonight on nearly every aspect of the impeachment inquiry, including new CNN polling that shows a big shift on the question of impeachment itself. It was done before a whole string of developments, including enough late today to fill a week's worth of broadcasts. Just about 90 minutes ago, the intelligence community inspector general refuted a key Republican talking point on the whistleblower complaint, saying, yes, the whistleblower had, quote, direct knowledge of certain alleged conduct. In other words, it was not just hearsay, as the president's defenders have been saying. The inspector general, who, by the way, was appointed by President Trump, is the person who initially investigated the whistleblower's complaint and determined it should be seen by Congress. And according to new CNN reporting, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also had direct knowledge of certain alleged conduct because it turns out he was on the call in July in which President Trump pushed Ukraine's president to investigate the Bidens, as well as the long-debunked conspiracy theory about the 2016 election, a made-up conspiracy theory that President Trump's own former Homeland Security advisor over the weekend said was a running obsession of the president, despite being told repeatedly it was debunked. According to other new reporting tonight, the president pushed Australia's prime minister to help Attorney General William Barr look into it, and that follows the news late today that the House Intelligence Committee has just subpoenaed the president's TV lawyer and Ukraine fix-it man Rudy Giuliani for documents relating to his efforts to lean on Ukrainian officials on the president's behalf. On top of that, there's what the president himself said about his desire to, quote, find out about the whistleblower. Listen.
Mr. President, do you now know who the whistleblower is, sir?
Well, we're trying to find out about a whistleblower. When you have a whistleblower that reports things that were incorrect, as you know, and you probably now have figured it out, the statement I made to the president of Ukraine, a good man, a nice man, knew was perfect. It was perfect. But the whistleblower reported a totally different statement, like the statement, it was not even made. I guess statement you could say with call. I made a call. The call was perfect. When the whistleblower reported it, he made it sound terrible. And then you had Adam Schiff, who, even worse, made up my words, which I think is just a horrible thing.
We're trying to find out about the whistleblower, the president said there, and all that stuff about what the whistleblower said not being what the call was is not true. As to Congressman Schiff, who chairs the House Intelligence Committee, who you heard the president talk about there, he also tweeted that Congressman Schiff, and I quote, illegally made up a fake and terrible statement, pretended it to be mine as the most important part of my call to the Ukrainian president, and read it aloud to Congress and the American people. It bore no relationship to what I said on the call. Arrest for treason? So that is the president of the United States asking his Twitter followers if the head of the House Intelligence Committee should be arrested for treason. That's where we are tonight. On top of that, the president invoking the Civil War with this tweet, quoting conservative pastor Robert Jeffress. Reading from it now, quote, if the Democrats are successful in removing the president from office, which they will never be, it will cause a civil war-like fracture in this nation from which our country will never heal. Pastor Robert Jeffress at Fox News. It was that kind of news on that kind of day, and it's not over yet. CNN's Jim Acosta has yet more new reporting, joins us now. So, Jim, I mean, just how serious are the president and his advisors taking impeachment threat tonight?
Hey, Anderson, I think a new reality is setting in over here at the White House. It's the reality that you and I are accustomed to. It's the one that's attached to the real world. I will tell you, talking to some sources who have been involved in some of these conversations over here at the White House over the last few days, there are aides and advisors who are now being upfront with the president, leveling with him that he faces the real likelihood of impeachment at this point. We're not getting into whether or not he would be convicted and removed from office over in the Senate, but that he could be impeached in the House of Representatives. And I will tell you, Anderson, I got a very stark quote from a Republican congressional aide up on Capitol Hill just a short while ago who said, we're entering a phase with a lot of unknowns. People are anxious about what else is out there. I think that goes directly to the anxiety that is being felt up on Capitol Hill. This party has been with the president every step of the way, but you do get the sense that the ice is starting to break.
Both Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Giuliani have been issued subpoenas. Do we know what the strategy is going to be? Is there any indication the White House is going to let them comply?
I mean, I think that's an excellent question. I think the news today that the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, was on that July 25th call makes what he has to say very important, because as we saw in an interview on ABC a couple of weeks ago about all of this, he was asked, and he, I guess, acted as if he didn't really know what the questioner, Martha Raddatz, was asking him about. And so he might want to revise and extend those remarks. As for Rudy Giuliani, that remains to be seen as well. But I will tell you, Anderson, talking to a couple of sources close to this process, they are starting to, I guess, make the rumblings that, yes, the White House may decide to go ahead and invoke privilege to try to prevent both of these aides from telling all that they know. But one caveat should be added to that, Anderson, and that is there is a general feeling inside the president's strategic team that Rudy Giuliani is helping more than he is hurting. And while that may cause some spit takes up on Capitol Hill, especially among Republicans who don't think Rudy Giuliani is helping, there is a feeling inside the president's team, and the president feels this way himself, that when Rudy Giuliani goes on TV, he releases such a fog of misinformation from time to time that it does tend to throw people off the scent. And there is that feeling that Rudy Giuliani may be needed. So fasten your seatbelts. We may see that kind of situation unfold if Giuliani testifies. He did put out a statement, though, we should point out earlier this evening, Anderson, saying, you know, don't count on it just yet. Yeah. Anderson.
Amazing that Rudy Giuliani's now biggest use is create a fog of misinformation. Quite a career turn for the guy. Jim Acosta, thanks. Joining us now, Senator Kamala Harris, member of the Intelligence and Judiciary Committees, Democratic presidential candidate and former California Attorney General. Senator Harris, a lot to ask. First of all, I guess, what do you make of Jim Acosta's reporting that the president's allies are concerned he doesn't actually understand the gravity of this impeachment fight?
Well, I mean, to be very candid, I don't think he has ever understood the gravity of the job, period. And this is serious. This is a very serious matter. We are talking about the fact, as confessed by the president, essentially, with plenty of evidence, including a cover-up and including clear evidence of consciousness of guilt, that the president of the United States used American taxpayer dollars and held them hostage with an expectation of favor from the head of a foreign government. He should be concerned, but I don't know that he's ever demonstrated empathy on one end of the scale or consciousness of guilt in any real way on the other end. But I think he's going to have to confront the realities of this most latest conduct through the impeachment process.
It's also, I mean, it's favor from a foreign government, not for the benefit of the United States on a policy basis. It's
correct.
Favor from against a candidate.
Personal favor.
Yeah. I'm wondering what you make of the fact that the president had no problem tweeting a pastor's mention of civil war, that the country could, sort of go through a civil war. For a president to be invoking the very notion of Americans fighting against Americans over this issue were you, I guess, I was going to say, were you surprised? I assume,
yeah, we're all speechless. Yeah. No, we're all speechless. Anderson, the last time our country endured a civil war was over America's original sin, slavery. And if Donald Trump thinks that this is a moment where he's actually being held accountable for his failures as president and his failure to uphold the oath to protect the Constitution of the United States and our democracy, if he's equating that with a war that took place between American people over slavery, I mean, it is yet again evidence of the fact that he is delusional in that he has a very outsized sense of himself as compared to the history of our country and all that we have been through and all that we are capable of. So, I just think what's most important is we not indulge his delusions and that we bring him back to reality, and I think the impeachment process will do that.
There are a lot of supporters, though, of the president out there who are, good people who work hard and voted for him in good faith and believe in him to this day. I'm wondering what you say to them who look at this and say, well, look, this is just Democrats can't get him out of through the ballot box, so now they're just trying to do it this way.
Listen, I will never fault anyone for a decision they made about who to vote for, meaning that I don't believe that to be then the entire measure of who people are. What I would say is this, to everyone, and I say it all the time, the framers of our Constitution, the founders of our nation, They imagined a moment such as this. They imagined a moment where one branch of government would abuse its power. And so they designed our beautiful system of democracy, flawed though it may be. They designed it such that there would be checks and balances. And that's what's happening right now. And so the check and balance is that where there has been an abuse by the executive branch, Congress is acting. And this is evidence of the fact that our democracy is intact. And I think we all should support the fact that a democracy requires moments like this where there will be that check and balance, and that's part of what makes us proud to be Americans, which is that we truly are a democracy with those kinds of checks and balances in place that actually work.
In the introduction to the broadcast, we played the president saying in the Oval Office that they're trying to find out about the whistleblower, learn about the whistleblower. Are you confident that Congress will be able to protect the whistleblower's identity? Because, I mean, and I'm wondering, do you believe that this person's not just job is in jeopardy, but, I mean, that their life, are they in jeopardy physically?
You know, I have to believe that, and I do believe that the United States Congress, the leaders of the United States Congress, will do everything that is necessary to support and protect the whistleblower. The president's tweets and his behaviors about this are just further evidence of the fact that he uses his power in a way that is designed to beat people down instead of lift people up. Frankly, when you look at what he's been tweeting today, directed at the whistleblower, directed at so many people, you know, I frankly think that based on this and all we've seen him do before, including attacking members of Congress, that he frankly should be, his Twitter account should be suspended. I think there is plenty of now evidence to suggest that he is irresponsible with his words in a way that could result in harm to other people. And so the privilege of using those words in that way should probably be taken from him.
But doesn't that, I mean, play into certainly the hands of, you know, his, what, I don't know how many Twitter followers he has. I think it's in the range of 60 million who say, well, look, okay, now you know, the rich folks in Silicon Valley are just trying to silence me and taking me off Twitter.
I'm sure that will be said, but we have to also agree that when the President of the United States speaks, her words are very powerful and should be used in a way that is not about belittling, much less harming anyone. And this president has, I think, never fully appreciated that responsibility. And so what we see continuously, including in the last 24 hours, is a use of his words, Donald Trump using his words, in a way that could subject someone to harm. And if he's not going to exercise self-restraint, then perhaps there should be other mechanisms in place to make sure that his words do not, in fact, harm anyone. And that's my point. What we want to make sure is that his words do not actually result in harm to anyone.
Just lastly,
understanding the potential for that.
Just lastly, a political question here. Politico is reporting tonight that you're shaking up the top level of your presidential campaign staff. Specifically, you're bringing your Senate chief of staff into the campaign, elevating another campaign advisor. I'm wondering, can you confirm whether that's true? And if so, what that says about the state of your candidacy, how you see yourself in the race right now?
Well, I don't know if you heard, but I'm kind of moving to Iowa. And our campaign is proceeding in a way that is about putting all of our resources into the task at hand. I will be spending an incredible amount of time in Iowa. I'm very proud of our team, which has been on the ground in all of the primary states.
Have you made those staffing
we've got
changes?
Some of the most talented people in the business. We are in the process of making sure that all of the folks who need to be on the ground are on the ground, and we are moving full steam ahead, and I'm very proud of the work we're doing.
All right, just one more time, but you won't confirm whether those specific staffing changes have been made?
I haven't read the article, Anderson, so I can't tell you what the article says, but I will tell you that I'm very proud of our team, and we have accomplished a great amount of work thus far, which makes me a top-tier candidate, and by many accounts, within the top 4, maybe 5, but top 4 in a field of over 20 people. And so something's been going right, and we're going to continue moving ahead.
Senator Harris, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming up is